What's up, guys? This is TwoTenEast. Welcome back to my series for love featuring marriage and divorce. Really quick before I get started, I just wanted to once again thank everyone who's been supporting this series, liking the videos, and commenting and sharing your opinions and theories. It's made doing this series so much fun, and also just once again want to shout out everybody who is new, who is discovering this channel and subscribing and liking the video or even just commenting. Really appreciate you guys stopping by, and I hope you are enjoying this as much as I am. With that being said, let's get into this because we got a whole lot to talk about in episode 9, and I, for one, cannot wait to talk about it with you guys. All right, we made it, guys, halfway through this show, episode 9, and wow, what a way to start off the second half. So we're picking right up where we left off in episode 8 with Yushin and the 3 women I call Migawan. And so we find out that Yushin recognizes Amy. They talk briefly, and she kind of explains to her friends that he is her doctor. And this leads into a flashback which shows what was going on 10 months ago. So what becomes apparent pretty early on in this flashback is that this isn't going to be just a flashback for Yushin and Amy's meeting and their whole story. We're also getting a flashback for the entire universe of the show, and we're seeing a bunch of other different characters. So as I was watching this episode, it became pretty clear that one of my guesses about this show and its format that I made in one of my previous videos seems like it's gonna be correct. What I said was that maybe the first half of the show is going to be all from the wives' side of things, and then the second half is going to be from the husband's side. And this flashback, I think maybe, my guess is now that we're going to see the last 10 months leading up to where we were in episode 8 and see it all from the husband's and the mistress's side. And then that's all going to lead back up to maybe the final episode where we finally get to see the present and the whole Jeju Island trip and what happens there. So I was really hyped for this. I was like, okay, great. Let's see the backstory. Let's see what's been going on and all the things that we haven't been able to see this whole time. So we see that Amy and Yushin met on their flight from LA back to Korea. And it seems like Amy kind of had her eye on Yushin even before they got on the plane. And we see that little flashback within a flashback. Oh, also we see Dong-mi watching, I think it's the doctor that they all go to see, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe I am, talking about diabetes and blood pressure. It seemed like, are we being shown that because it's explaining how she may have been researching and trying to devise this plan of feeding her husband shitty food so he would become diabetic? I wasn't quite clear, but it does seem fairly clear that the implication is that she was planning this a while back. Okay, so back to Amy and Yushin. So yeah, she sees him in the airport before, and he gives her a sandwich wedge that he could have taken. Wow, that's so epic and romantic, I guess. Okay, so now we're seeing some Hye Ryung and Sahyun, and we see that she is body shaming him. She says that she wants him to be in shape and to go to the gym and to not get fat. And they kind of laugh about it at the end, and he agrees to go to the gym, I guess, or sign up for it or whatever. But yeah, it wasn't a great look for Hye Ryung. And one small thing I noticed was that during their conversation, she says, well, you don't want me to get fat either, right? You wouldn't like it if I was fat. And he says, no, I would love you even if you were a chubby pig. And I thought back to episode 1, or I think it was 1, maybe 2, during that whole conception dream thing. He has a dream about receiving a pig or something about holding a chubby pig. So maybe that's what that was. There's some connection or reference there. But yeah, anyways, let's move on. Okay, back to Amy and Yushin on the airplane. This seems to be the main storyline in this episode, with the other ones kind of beginning to be fleshed out. And I love how K-dramas make these super dramatic moments out of really not that big a thing. Her stepping over him and trying not to bump into him. The music and the slow motion, it's just so over the top. But I guess it makes sense because it's conveying the heightened sense of the character. Like, she really is nervous about it, and it's this moment where she doesn't want to make contact or fall or disturb him, or I don't know. But it does end up being the catalyst for how they get to know each other. So again, I guess it makes sense. It's just kind of funny. After this accident happens and he's like, oh, sorry. She's like, no, I'm sorry. And they look at each other and they're like, ugh. Amy goes to the bathroom and takes out, I it was a toothbrush, right? I think it was a toothbrush. It looked like a toothbrush when it went in focus for just that like millisecond. And again, all throughout this episode with the flashbacks, I'm trying to make connections with the earlier episodes, which of course are forward in time. And there is that scene with Amy looking at toothbrushes in her bathroom while she's in the bathtub in an earlier episode. So I was wondering if that's a reference to that at all, if there's a connection. I don't remember the color of the toothbrush in the earlier episode, but okay, back to Sahyun. He's out eating. He sees a guy who's wicked in shape, and he asks him advice about where to go to the gym, how to get a gym trainer, and it's pretty wholesome and innocent. I kind of feel bad for him in this situation where Hye Ryung's basically body shaming him and telling him to go work out. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, if the show is really going to take this format where the second half of the show is all from the husband's point of view, I'm really curious to find out how much these episodes might sway me into sympathizing or empathizing with the three husbands more, now that we're seeing their story. And so far, we're seeing a little bit more of a sympathetic storyline for Sahyun. Okay, back to Amy and Yushin again. We're on the plane and they're talking about apples? What the fuck was this scene? It was so weird to me. Yushin tells this story about a boy on a train in Switzerland and how he saw him eat an apple without a sound. Then she eats one without a sound, and he asks about her saliva. What a weird conversation to get to know someone or connect with them or build this romance between them. I guess it was love at first bite, if you know what I mean. It was just a weird scene. It didn't make me think that they were... I don't know what I think about these two, honestly. I'll talk about it more later, but okay, fine, this apple thing. And yeah, just the music that was going on. It was such a weird moment. And he's just so into her eating this apple, the close-ups and his reaction shots. And then it gets to this point where he's imagining kissing her. Then he snaps back to reality and holy shit, there are Americans there. And they're speaking English. It's so weird in a K-drama for me as an American to have to read subtitles the whole time and then suddenly be treated to some English for like 2 seconds. It feels really weird, but kind of nice. Those poor stupid suckers. Those Americans can't understand the nuance and profoundness of eating apples and making no noise. Ah, those poor fools, the troglodytes. Okay, back to Sahyun, and he's at the gym, and holy shit, he sees a woman working out with a trainer, and he is just staring, like, no holds barred, just staring openly. And let's take it easy on my boy here, because it's his first time ever at the gym. He doesn't understand. He doesn't know how to act around that, doesn't know the proper etiquette, and we see that it's Sungwon, one of the three of Migawan, so I can't wait to see what happens with that. But we're gonna have to wait because we're going back to Amy and Yushin. Alright, so now he's touching her hand and that somehow qualifies as administering first aid. I am not a medical professional, so I have no idea. Maybe that's a real thing, but it just seems kind of like he's just touching her hand. And he says, maybe the apple stressed you out because you were trying to eat it fast and you were worried about that. Did he give her that apple and say all of that shit just so she would feel sick so he could take care of her? Is that what happened? Wow, okay, we've got a real light Yagami here. So they talk and he admits that he is married. Okay. All right, so at least he's not lying about that. And it's revealed he doesn't wear his ring because his wife doesn't let him because he forgets it places like Italy. So they get off the plane and he says that, hey, whenever you're sick or you can't sleep or whatever, give me a call, free of charge, don't worry about it. And again, I'm thinking back, is this who he was talking to on the phone in an earlier episode when he was talking to someone who was, I guess, describing to him that they were sick? And then, of course, he gives her a ride because, of course, her ride was canceled and it just so happens that has to happen. Did she just make up that she had a ride or make up that it got canceled? We don't know, but either way, that's how it happens. Also, and I wanted to ask you guys this, maybe it's just in my head or I'm just reading it a weird way. He kind of seems really bossy with Amy. He's always telling her, you should eat first. You should do that. You should do this tomorrow. You should nap right now. Yeah, it wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't that extreme or anything, but I did pick up on that, and yeah, just wondering if any of you guys thought that too. Okay, then we're finally seeing some Sahyun and Hye Ryung and their family, and I really wanted to see their backstory and what's been going on in the past 10 months with them, because obviously we had an episode earlier that was really dedicated to their whole drama. So Hye Ryung is having his birthday, and he wishes for all of them to be happy together forever. Oh, isn't that nice? And instead of giving them gifts, they want something from him, and Sahyun wants his car because it's good for his health. He should walk more. And when I was seeing this, I was thinking, okay, are we just gonna make all the women look evil and bad in this episode? Is that where we're going here? But no, even though Hye Ryung is looking a little bad here in this episode, not my girl Sahyun. I knew it. I never should have doubted her, even if I did for a second, because it turns out that she wasn't just taking his car away, making him walk everywhere. It's actually because she bought him a new car. And what a happy moment for all of them. They're all happy. He's happy. Oh, yay, that's great. All right, back to Amy and Yushin. They're having dinner. So we can see from the way that he talks to Pyung on the phone and what he tells Amy when he gets back from talking to Pyung that he is definitely an experienced liar. He has no problem doing it, and he does it well. It's like second nature. He's so smooth about it. And to be honest, it really doesn't seem like this is his first rodeo, if you know what I mean. That's just a guess though. So then he's going to drop her off at her apartment, and it's apparent that no matter if it's Amy or Dongmi, this guy, Yushin, just can't help rolling out these weird, creepy compliments. He tells Amy, well, I can be your big brother, you know? And it seems like this need for family love and family acceptance and having that support system is something that the show puts a real emphasis on, and these two characters happen to have in common, which I guess is why she doesn't just think this is really fucking creepy. She seems totally into it, and she's like, yeah, you can be my big brother, yeah. Okay, then we see a little more Sahyun trying to work out, and he's thinking about Songwon and her butt and her working out in her like leggings and her butt. And then we get a scene with Songwon, and she's hiding from a happy family. Does she know the husband? Did they or are they having an affair? I don't know. This is very mysterious, but she definitely did not want to be seen by them. And at the end, when they're walking away and they do that little slow motion thing, it seems like it does end up focusing on the guy a little bit. That is something I guess we will be finding out more about soon. Okay, we are all over the place this episode. All right, Hye Ryung is eyeing Mr. So it seems like this little infatuation has been going on for quite some time before the first episode events happened. And now we're back to Mr. Airplane mode, and Amy falls asleep on his shoulder and dreams of them together riding horses on the beach. Okay, sure. This whole thing, their romance, them falling for each other, this affair, and how they meet and their chemistry, it's just so weird. Again, please, guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this. I can't quite describe it. It's not that it feels unrealistic, although maybe that's what I feel, but I can't quite place it. It's just weird. I don't quite buy it. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know. It just seems very weird. It's kind of like the relationship with Dongmi and Yushin. This guy just... there's something off about him. And she's not totally without blame. I mean, she knows that he's married and she's totally into it also. So, I don't know. I just don't know about this whole thing. All right, he gets her set up at her place. And again, I can definitely see where all of this stuff he's saying comes from a good place. But it just seems really controlling. Don't go clubbing. Don't open the door. Be careful. It's just the way he says it and gives her all these kind of orders. Yeah, I don't know. So they just imagine each other hugging. Both of them do separately. Things are really heating up. And I'm just watching like, yeah, guys, he's married. You're married. Guys, you listening? Married. Okay, back to Hye Ryung. She's drunk and she is getting progressively more and more sloppy. She calls Sahyun and tells him to pick her up, and he's thinking to himself that this is more like being a servant than a husband. This is more like serving a queen than having a wife. So we're definitely getting a lot more of a sympathetic storyline for Sahyun right now. And this is, I guess, building towards explaining why he fell out of love with her. Okay, then Hyung-ji and Yu-ram have a discussion about love and men and women and roles in a relationship, and I can get on board with some of what she's saying. Some of it is a little... I do like how Yu-ram doesn't take everything she says on blind faith. He questions it, but again, most of the stuff she says, fine. Okay, then another teaching moment for Ji. Didn't get her gift. Don't expect one every time. Only buy things you really need. Okay, cool. Back to Hye Ryung, and oh god, she is so sloppy. Holy shit. She confronts Mr. So and just approaches him, and she's so sloppy, so rude. He's not feeling it at all. I was hoping we'd maybe get some insight into why he's not considerate, or rather why he's so standoffish. But he doesn't say anything at all, and of course not. I mean, she's so drunk. And Sahyun picks her up and meets Mr. So, and he's like, oh man, I'm sorry. Not a good look, Hye Ryung. Not at all. But then Mr. So leaves with his buddies, and we see Ga Bin with her friends, and they run into each other, and we get that classic drama moment where they stare at each other, and okay, here we go. I definitely didn't see this coming. Do they have something going on? It didn't look like a first time they met kind of thing. It looked like, oh shit, I recognize you kind of thing. So that's the end of the episode. We are back to getting previews, thank God. And in the previews, there's a bunch of stuff. I'll just wait till the next episode to talk about it. But we do see Ga Bin and Hye Ryun seeing each other and looking at each other. What the fuck? We just saw this scene with her and Mr. So. So are they both involved with her in some way? What is going on? That's it for episode 9. All over the place, but a whole bunch of new things to talk about and to wonder about and to theorize about. And now let's get to episode 10. Okay, episode 10. So Mr. So and Ga Bin have their little standoff. Everyone else clears out like they're about to throw down and start brawling right there. And then they just stare at each other and then walk past each other. Ga Bin almost says something, but then doesn't. And wow, okay, great scene. Thanks for all that build up, and then nothing happened. We still don't know what their relationship is. One of Ga Bin's friends asks her, like, is he your ex-boyfriend? And she's like, no, but doesn't say anything further. Could they be involved? I guess. But maybe they're related in some way? We just don't know. All right, then we're feeling some more secondhand embarrassment for Hye Ryung. I'm sure we've all either been in that state ourselves at some point or had to deal with one of our friends that was in that state. So totally relatable. But yeah, she's making a total fool out of herself. She asks Sahyun to stop the car, gets out, confronts Mr. So again, demands that he explain himself further. And he says, well, I didn't say hi because the friends I was with would probably have invited you over to our table, and I knew you wouldn't have liked that. It would have been a bother. And she's like, oh, this is so considerate. And poor Sahyun is mortified and just trying to get her back in the car. And Mr. So really doesn't seem like he could care less. Okay, let's check in with P-Young and airplane mode. They're having a grand old time, and man, this dude is just too smooth with his lying. I said it last episode, I'll say it again. He just lies so easily, and he's really good at it. Like here, when he's telling P-Young that he won't invite that friend he met on the plane over to their house because he doesn't want to bother her. So he continues the story he came up with originally, sets up a way for him to go see Amy again that fits the storyline, and also manages to seem considerate to his wife, all at the same time. Then Amy literally texts him right when they're talking, but he's got it under control. It's just spam, it's a wrong number. He's quick to use the opportunity of Ji-ah coming in, complaining that her neck hurts, and P-Young stepping away for a moment to quickly change Amy's name in his phone to Manager Kim, which explains the Manager Kim name that we saw in his phone in the previous episodes. All right, then a quick stop by Sahyun's place. She's having a chat with her husband, you know, that Hye Ryun guy, and it's a nice scene. It's some more good PR for him. He's grateful for the car, he's taking over the potato mashing, thinking of her wrists, telling her I'll do better. So everything at this point seems like it's fine. Okay, then we get some Dong Mi time, and her old husband is snoring and farting in his sleep, and she's really fed up with that, and it seems like the only logical thing to do is to just devise an evil plan to slowly feed him food that will cause him to get sick and then die, right? That's probably the best solution to that problem. But of course, she can't make that happen right away, so getting up in the middle of the night and looking at pictures of your son-in-law creepily will do in a pinch. That's pretty much all we hear from Dong-mi in this episode, although there's more of her later on, like giving her husband more of that food that we are pretty sure now that it's intentionally trying to make him sick. She wants him to get a wig because everyone keeps mistaking him for her father. Ouch, that's tough. All right, then we see Sahyun and Songwon. They meet before going to the gym. He strikes up a conversation. And wow, this guy is like the opposite of smooth. Holy shit. At first, it seems like Songwon is totally uninterested, but she warms up as they talk more. Then when he's in the gym, he's once again staring right at her. You'd think this guy is like a little kid who's never seen a sexy girl before. And he does say that later on to his coworker, like, women who work out are really sexy, right? Sahyun, he's just like a little kid, even with the scenes later with him and his mom and Hye Ryung when the mom comes and makes food, and the way he is around Songwon and the way he acts when seeing her and being attracted to her. He really seems just like a little kid. He doesn't seem very mature at all. It's like his first time ever finding himself attracted to a girl. But yeah, he talks more with Songwon and they're getting to know each other a little bit better. He seems to be the one pursuing her more so than her pursuing him, but she seems pretty okay with him chatting her up at the same time. We also see this continued narrative of Hye Ryung being really strict about Sahyun's diet and his workout and weight loss, and it's really making her look bad. It's pretty terrible what she's doing and demanding of him, and it's definitely making me sympathize more with Sahyun. I can start to see the groundwork of how he could have believably fallen out of love with her. Okay, so we also finally get the scene we were waiting for ever since the preview from the previous day. Ga-bin, it turns out, is going to be a professor where Hye Ryung works, and they meet because as the head of the department, well, it's just normal for him to greet a new teacher and talk over what her job will be and welcome her to the fucking school or whatever. And they seem to hit it off, and they're talking about musicals. Musicals, guys, remember? Musicals, Cats, the musical, remember that? So he offers her his own food for lunch instead of them going out to get lunch. The lunch that came from home that his wife made. And yeah, she is a good cook, you low-life bastard, you horrible man. And again, we're seeing this common thread of these mistresses where they don't have family in the country and their families are abroad and they don't really have anyone to lean on in this country, in Korea, no support system. And that seems to be playing a role into why they are getting into these relationships, because it provides some kind of support and familiarity, someone to be close with. And yeah, this scene is nice. I mean, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with the affairs, or sorry, I shouldn't say affairs, but the budding romances and chemistry between these two in a vacuum. It's just the fact that he's married. I mean, this would totally be a nice little story if he was an old, lonely, single man, or maybe a divorced man with no family or just his kids that he's raising, and then this little storyline happens, him and Ga-bin meet, and then these scenes would be great. I mean, you can see the chemistry there, they're getting along, they're talking and whatever, but the thing is, that's not the case. He's married, and she knows he's married. Okay, then we get this long thread of Amy and Yushin as they go out to dinner. It just really doesn't seem like Amy gives a shit about the fact that Yushin has a wife. She has no problem getting closer to him and flirting with him and saying suggestive things. And I know it's the husband's fault for pursuing these affairs, but this is now 2 out of the 3 mistresses confirmed that know that the guy that they are getting involved with is married. And there's just no signs of like hesitation from either of them. Again, Ga-bin has not gone that extra step yet, but Amy is already definitely there. And we see this a lot in movies and TV shows, right? Oh, what should I do? I'm attracted to him, but he's a married man. And we see them like talking with the friends they have in the movies or TV shows, and the friend in their TV shows like, what are you doing? He's married. Da, da, da. Or at least they have some kind of scene where they're distressed about it and don't know what to do. But so far, Amy really just doesn't seem like she cares. It's fine with her. She even asks about Hye-Ryung while they're out having drinks later. Oh, what's your wife like? But then just continues to flirt with Yushin and get closer to him and do this whole thing with, oh, well, we'll drop her honorifics, and if we mess up, we'll drink. For anybody who's thinking, oh, well, she just sees him as an older brother. She has no one in Korea. You know, it's not a romance thing. No, she's literally had a fantasy of them riding on horseback on the beach together, which she like flat out told him about too. So no, that's not an excuse. She is definitely thinking of him romantically. And yeah, this like adventure they have that night goes on. They get escargot, yuck. And she's telling him little sweet romantic things like, oh, I'll be thinking of you every time I get indigestion now. Wow, so cute, so romantic, right guys? And they keep drinking and she's like, okay, I'll tell you later why I'm buying more drinks. And then later she reveals she's doing it because she wants to be friends. Right. Friends, sure, okay. Oh, and also during all this, we see Hye-Ryung and Ji-ah at home talking about ice cream. Wow, riveting. And we get this kind of meta moment where Ji-ah asks, oh, is this that show about dads having affairs? And no, Ji-ah, this is the show about dads having affairs. You're living inside of it. Okay, that's it for my analysis of these two episodes. Obviously, I was way off with my theory about the three women. So all of you guys were right in the comments. I just want to acknowledge I was totally wrong. It's not like I was like 100% certain about my prediction, but yeah, a lot of you guys in the comments were like, oh, that's cute, your little theory. But you know what? They are the mistresses, okay? We saw the posters. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'll probably still have more theories as the show goes on, but you know what? I'm the one making the video, so I guess I gotta be the one to look stupid when they're wrong. No problem. I'm just glad you guys are watching, because honestly, it's been so much fun and I'm having a blast. So guys, let me know in the comments, what are you guys feeling right now? So far, from what we've seen, are you sympathizing or empathizing a little bit more with these husbands? For me, I've got to say Sahyun is the one that I'm most turned around on, like I said previously. We already knew that Hye Ryung can get a little crazy, but before it looked like she was only getting crazy because he was cheating on her. Now we're seeing that she's had this history of being very demanding, very bossy, forcing him to work out, and just kind of making him her slave. And yeah, I'm starting to feel a little sympathy for Sahyun. I can see why he might have fallen out of love, and he's incredibly childlike in these couple episodes and seems completely blown away by the fact that women can wear leggings. I guess he just never knew that existed, apparently. And yeah. Oh, one other thing I want to mention before I wrap this video up. I wanted to talk about Sahyun's parents a bit, because throughout this show, it seems like their only purpose is really to be a kind of comedic sideshow, and early on in this episode, we're just seeing more of the same, and I was thinking at that point, man, I'm really getting tired of this. It really sucks that these characters are being reduced to a caricature of the old, grumpy married couple, and the only purpose they serve is kind of showing this outdated, traditional, sexist view on marriage and of a husband and wife, and it can be funny sometimes, but it's also just sort of sad and not good. And so I guess there's some thematic value there, since the whole show is about marriage and the concept of marriage, but it's just kind of tired at this point. But then later on in the episode, we see that Sahyun's mom like runs away from the house to like punish and protest against Sahyun's dad. And we see something there that when she's gone, he starts to miss her and starts to ask around and want to find her, and he misses her taking care of him. And this made me reconsider what I thought about these two. Maybe there's more to these characters. Maybe there's a kind of irony built into their whole existence in the show. That irony being that even though they represent sort of the worst outcome of marriage in terms of they're always bickering, they're always fighting, they're also the only actual married couple that has stayed together in the show. Think of all the other couples. There's no one else that has stayed together that long. Everyone else is either in a marriage right now and someone's cheating, or divorced, or on their second marriage, or their spouse got run over by a car, or they're just not married yet. And despite how much they bicker and fight, they're the ones that have actually managed to stay together the longest. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. it's kind of up for the audience to decide, right? Because on the one hand, it's an achievement to stay together so long, but on the other hand, it's like, at what cost? Are they even happy? But what I can say that's positive in this last episode that we saw is that there is a certain kind of love that still exists, right? There is some kind of caring. Because behind all of her bickering, she really cares and wants his affection and his care. And behind all of his seeming to like not appreciate her and treat her as less than him and all of that shit, he really does care for her and miss her when she's gone. So take from that what you want. I'm not saying anything. I'm just thinking about these characters and how they're being developed. Anyways, that's it for me for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to continue talking with you guys. And yeah, I'll see you next week for episode 11 and 12.